Welcome to our new podcast called Rich by Friday. Our podcast is about gambling and living in New York and some crazy stories we have for you guys. I just wanted to document some of the stories with my friends, and there's so many everyday stuff that happen with us that I think normal people will find crazy. You may not believe half the stories, but I promise you all these stories are 100% true. Nothing's made up. My name is Young Ko, and this is my co-host Changs.
How you guys doing? I'm Changs from Brooklyn. I am a real estate investor / ex-gambler.
What do you mean ex-gambler? You still gamble?
I gamble once in a while, not as much before.
All right. So how did you start gambling?
I started gambling very early on. I think I started gambling at the age of like 12 in like junior high school. My parents never gave me allowance, so I didn't have no money. So during lunch break in 6th grade, we would play Chinese poker, and I was better than all of them, and I would be making like $100 every single day.
Every single day as a junior high schooler back in the day? That's a lot of money.
Every day at 12 years old is a lot of money, 100 a day.
So you thought this was easy money.
Still easy money. If you want to play Chinese poker, let me know. So then I went to high school, and the poker boom on TV.
With Chris Moneymaker?
Yes. So I started playing No Limit Hold'em at like 16, 17 in high school with a bunch of my friends. When I turned 18, I went to Turning Stone Casino. It's upstate New York. It's 18 and over.
You guys drove up there?
I drove up there.
Because Turning Stone's like at least 4 hours away.
I played my first tournament, $500 buy-in, and I won it for $20,000.
You won the very first tournament you ever played. That's
in
pretty
the
crazy.
Casino, yes. But I played like house game tournaments. I played a little bit online, so I was like not a noob, but not a vet either.
That's awesome.
What about you?
I started gambling probably since I was a little kid. My grandma taught me how to play like a Korean game. It's called Go Stop, but it's like a Korean it's like a Korean poker game. I don't know really how to describe it. If you're Korean, you probably know what it is. But she introduced me to that game, and that's like my first introduction to gambling. I think gambling was always in my blood because my parents, they were immigrants, and so they didn't speak any English. I'm from California, LA. And so every other weekend, they wanted like kind of a city life. And so the family would take a road trip to Vegas. But I was an infant, so my brother would just take me around in the stroller, but I was in a casino environment since I was a little kid. But my first real gambling started when I started golfing. I was a competitive golfer in high school and college, and on the golf course. If you're a golfer, you understand that there's so much gambling on the golf course. Like you can play for money on the course.
How much did you play?
At that, so there was a crazy story, and you probably know Anthony Kim because people say you look like Anthony Kim, and
yeah, I get that a lot. Before.
And he just won a tournament, but
he's back.
He's back. I was playing at the same course that he grew up at playing, and there was like a legendary story about how Anthony Kim's father used to give him $500 a day and said, "Go bet people on the putting green, and don't ever come back losing." And
so that's what you did,
and that's to build confidence and playing under pressure. Because playing under pressure in golf tournaments, it's tough. It's very nerve-wracking as any competitive sport. So that was the legendary story. So I started gambling on the course, trying to make extra money. And next thing I know, I was gambling. I started playing poker after I moved to New York. My first job was in New York.
When did you move to New York?
About 10 years ago now. I moved to New York, and I was bored. I heard about like these underground poker games, and I saw the movie Rounders. So I was like, there's no way this stuff really exists. So one day I was on Google and I just looked up underground New York City poker games.
You wasn't scared?
I mean, it was a little sketchy because I wasn't sure if this was like legit or not. I don't know what I'm walking into, but I reached out to the phone and they asked me for my LinkedIn, my Instagram to verify me. And they said, when you show up, you got to show the security guard my ID. So those first steps I was really nervous because I was like, what am I walking into? Like, what kind of people are behind these doors? But it was a 1-3 game, and That's how it all started. And I was like, wow, this really exists. You don't have to go to a casino. I could just walk down the block, couple blocks. It was literally 10 minutes from my house. And I started playing 1-3. And that's how I kind of got sucked into the whole gambling cycle within New York City. So did you ever have to depend on gambling as a means of living, or?
I always depended on it when I was younger until I was probably like 25. I made probably like $300,000-$400,000 off of it. Then I started investing in real estate, and from there I never looked back.
Real estate. So real estate now is your main bread and butter.
Yes.
Awesome. What do you have any advice you can give like gamblers?
For the gamblers, I would say you need a lot of discipline and never chase.
You know, I have to agree with you, because gambling is such a crazy vice, because you always think you have a shot at winning. And so I know we've talked about it. Like, if you had, what do you think the worst addiction is? Or the best addiction is, sorry. Because you always say the best addiction is what?
Addiction as what? Drugs, gambling, or
Yeah,
liquor?
Yes, alcohol, drugs, or gambling.
The best addiction? I would go with gambling. At least you can win.
Yeah, so people, I think that hope of you always got a shot at winning is what I think makes gambling the most dangerous addiction to have, because, you know, if you, like you said, if you don't have discipline, you're going to lose all your money. You're always going to be broke.
Yeah, drugs and drinking will mess up your body, man. Gambling,
It messes your soul.
If you have no more money, you can't play no more. So
that's also true. But people go into debt trying to gamble, like big amounts of debt. Like drugs, you can't really go into huge debt. Alcohol, having a drinking problem, you can't go into huge debt.
That's true too.
Because we've seen so many people where gambling, like, you know, kind of ruin their lives.
What's your best or favorite gambling moment? Do you have any?
My favorite gambling moment, honestly, like, I'm a big poker player, but I don't really consider poker gambling. So when I look at gambling, I kind of look at like table games at the casino. So you put me on to craps. So before, like, I played craps with you, I've never really played craps, because when you go to a craps table, I have no idea what I'm betting. It's so like complicated. There's so many bets going on. But after that last run in Vegas at Aria, craps is easily my favorite game.
Legendary run.
So the story is, we were at Aria having dinner, right? And one of our friends bumped into us at Javier's. And he was like, hey, guys, you guys want to come play craps with Coach? And we were like, who's Coach? And he was like, he told us it's an NBA coach, has his own private table at Aria. He said he's boys with him. He said, come play. So I was like, you know what? Screw it. You know, let's just take 10,000 and we'll play. So after dinner, we walk over. First of all, Coach is not even there, but the table is there. And
the table was reserved, yeah.
Yeah, the table was reserved, and they said we could play on it. Since we were already there, I was like, all right, I'll just play with 10,000. Okay. And I don't know. So I started with a pass line. It's crapless craps. So there's extra numbers. So you can bet on the 2, 3, 11, and 12. So my first 2,000 just gone. I rolled a number and then 0.7 out. So then I asked you to roll the dice, and then 2,000 gone. Then we asked our friend who brought us there to roll the dice, 2,000 gone. Then I told my other friend to roll the dice, 2,000 gone. And it wasn't that we were, the amount of money I was down that was so infuriating, because at that point I was already up in the trip. So it wasn't that big of a deal, but it was the way we lost. We didn't even have a sweat. And I think gamblers ultimately want to have a sweat.
So I remember that day clearly. We had 4 of us, 2,000 gone, 2,000 gone, 2,000 gone, 2,000 gone. We was down to our last 2,000. And I just said, fuck it. To make it all back, we're going to just have to full press it.
Yeah, so that I threw you the 2,000. I said, I'm not even going to look at what you're betting. I said, just full press it. Then you looked at me and you said, I'm going to really full press it. And then I think the dealer was like, so when do you stop pressing? And then what did you tell him?
I told him full press till the 7 comes.
So then the guy was like, how do you make money?
I'm going to show you.
So then,
So then we did it.
and we were the only ones betting on the dice roll on that craps table. So if you know, usually on a craps table, there's a lot of people, so they have to pay every single person, and every roll takes a long time. But since it was only one bet, it was so fast. And I think they said I rolled.
I think you rolled at least 45 minutes. We started off, I think with 2,000 was 150 across, maybe even less, but we rolled 150, press it, 300, press it, 600, press it. And we rolled for like 45 minutes, and we ended up winning 200,000, which is insane.
The pit boss got so scared, they kept calling upstairs. They were like, first, they needed more chips because they ran out of chips because they weren't prepared for this. Then second, the guy kept calling upstairs because out of nowhere, 4 random dudes came up to the private dice table and that was probably the most insane, my favorite story. It's not like even the biggest amount I've ever won or lost, but the way it happened was just so legendary because all we ever talked about before was, can we go on a God roll? Because I just want to know what it feels like. And that was the God roll. So it was definitely a crazy story. How about you? You have a favorite gambling memory?
My favorite gambling is probably winning $300,000.
How did you win 300,000?
I took a trip to Punta Cana. It was a special invite tournament for like Casino Wales. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go for my birthday, gamble a little, and end up winning the tournament for 300,000. And I don't think anybody's going to ever win $300,000 gambling on their birthday.
Yo, that must have been epic. So did you celebrate with the boys?
I celebrated with whoever was there. Not many people was there. But what the hell am I doing gambling on my birthday?
Yeah, that's crazy. Speaking about your birthday, you remember how we met?
It was around my birthday.
It was at the poker table right around your birthday.
Yes, I got invited to the game, and it was your game, now that I know. And I stacked your ass.
Yo, at least tell them the story because it was a 5-5 game and I doubled you up for $10,000, which is huge for a 5-5 game.
Yes, I came in the game. It was 5-5, and I started raising every hand.
Yeah, you kept raising it, and I was fed up with you raising one hand.
You 3-bet me to like, I don't remember, $100, $200. I called the pocket nines, and by the river, I rivered a set, but it made a 4-card straight, and you went all in.
Yeah, I jammed. There was a 1-liner. So like, I think the board was like Queen 9 8 7 6, and that hand I had Queen Jack, and I was like, "There's no way this guy has anything," because the way I played the hand. So I was like, just in case he has me beat, I'm just gonna jam the river, and I did a full paw-sized jam, which was huge for that game because you know it's a 5-5 game, and I'm pretty sure on the river I bet $6,000. Okay. And then I just remember you looking at your stack, you counted it out, and then you just nonchalantly threw the chips in. And I just looked up. I was devastated because at that time, $10,000 was a huge amount of money for me.
So now you know, don't bluff me.
Yeah, he's unbluffable. But no, honestly, that game,
I had a read on you.
yeah, what read? I don't give off reads. Maybe back then, but now there's no reads. But yeah, that was around like my first or second year in New York, right after COVID.
How did you get to New York?
My first job after college was in New York. I was actually in finance, and then I started playing poker on the side, and I was like, this is easier money in my head, and it's fun. You don't have to work as hard, and you really feel like you're an entrepreneur. You're your own boss because you can set your own hours. You don't have to wake up early. So when you're young and you're going out, it seems like it's the life, and you get to see cash versus working in an office all day, every day, listening to your boss. And I was like, my boss is not as smart as me, or at least that's what I was thinking at that point, which was really bad. But that's what you're thinking when you're young and dumb. And then I was like, you know what? I can make more money playing poker or participating in, poker games.
And now you play the highest stakes in the world.
Yeah, now it's like, life-changing money that, people play for. But, at the end of the day, it's just poker chips. And, I think I've told the audience before in a clip that's why poker chips or chips in general are so dangerous, because you don't look at money as money anymore. You just look at it like chips. How difficult do you think it is to make a living off gambling, especially if you're living in New York?
Gambling only or poker?
Poker / sports. There's so many people who claim to be, sharp sports bettors. So we can even include them. But actually, we'll just talk about more in poker in general.
Well, poker you can win because it's a game of skill. Sports, very people can make it. And gambling, the casino games, I don't think anybody wins.
But in poker, even within New York City, you have to beat the rake. You have to beat other players. How many winning players do you think? How many players do you think can make a living off poker in the New York City community that we know?
I don't think.
I would say less than 10%.
I can't even name you 5 people.
It's pretty crazy. But we know some legendary people that made their whole life gambling, and they're still gambling to this day. Our uncle.
Who?
Johnny Chan.
Yes, that guy's been gambling since the 70s, and he's still gambling now.
And even Johnny Chan, he tells us those like war stories of, like him playing Bach, and this guy, he knows he's down. He claims he's down at least 50 million lifetime playing baccarat.
I think that's true.
And I 100% think it's true, because we've seen him play Bach, and he's sick. Because when he plays on the poker table, he's so disciplined. He makes all the right decisions. He's not rarely out of line. He plays tight. But on that baccarat table, that's not Johnny Chan. That's somebody else.
That's fucking fish. He got no discipline at the baccarat table.
Tell us about that crazy story about Johnny Chan and how he bet 100,000.
Okay, so we went to the casino in Uruguay, Punta del Este, and we got invited there. He was betting 100,000 a hand.
100,000 a hand
in baccarat, and say he bet banker. So he gets the cards. He tells the dealer to open their cards. The dealer flipped over a natural 9.
So he can't win.
He can't win. He's drawn dead. So he's on tilt.
But he can still tie.
He could tie, but he was like this, fuck. Because you can't win, you can only tie. So he's sitting there for 5 minutes. He didn't peel his cards. He didn't do anything.
What do you do? He was just sitting there?
He was sitting there making faces, getting angry with the dealers. And after another 5 minutes, 10 minutes, he didn't peel his cards. The dealer just opened his cards. And he snapped out. He told the floor to come. And he said, if you don't give me this bet back and cancel the bet, I'll never come and gamble again. He said, do you know why I gamble? I gamble for the thrill. You opening my cards, I don't get the sweat. This bet has to be canceled. And for them, they canceled it because they don't want to lose him as a customer.
I'm not telling all you guys to go do this, because they only did this for him because he's probably down millions of dollars and they don't want to lose him as a customer. So I don't recommend people going to your local casinos and not opening their cards, because you will probably get kicked out, or they will not refund your bet. But for special players, okay, the special whales, the VIPs, the casinos will always make exceptions. And that's crazy that they really, gave him back 100,000 though. That's a wild story.
Yeah, that's true.
So did he win the next hand? Did he bet again?
He didn't bet again, and we just left. So you can ask him that if you see him. True story.
We're going to have guests in the future on the show. I'm sure we're going to have Johnny Chan as one of our guests in one of the upcoming episodes. So definitely stay tuned for that. When you were doing gambling for, when you were younger and gambling for a living before you got into real estate, what was your kind of like mindset? Because I want to give the audience an insight as to like why we're called Rich by Friday, because gambling was your 9 to 5 when you were younger.
Gambling was my 9 to 5. Playing poker. Poker, I was a winning player, but I would have advice and go. If you lose the session, you go to the baccarat table, the dice table, and try to make it back, and you make it worse.
But sometimes there are those few times where you have a 6 score, right?
For sure.
And you
get
feel like you
bailed
just
out.
hit a lotto. You feel like you hit the lotto. You hit a 6 score, and that's kind of where we came up with the name Rich by Friday. Because for gamblers or poker players, anyone within the gambling scene, if this is your 9 to 5, you want to hit the score by Friday, and then you want to go out and celebrate on the weekend. And for football bettors, it's different because all football is mostly on Sunday. But that's the general gist of why we came up with Rich by Friday. Do you have any war stories? Like, do you have any story, like a moment where you lost money and it was devastating, like, or annoying, really
I've
annoying?
seen so many crazy stories because I've been around gambling 30 years now almost.
But you personally, like a big loss you took.
Me personally, the most I ever lost gambling was probably around 300,000, and at that time, devastated me.
How did you lose 300,000? What were you playing?
Baccarat.
Baccarat, the devil's game. I really believe the devil invented this game.
Yeah, 300,000. I want to jump off the roof at that time.
How did you lose? You lost in one shot, one session.
I was actually
One
on
trip?
tilt trying to chase from a poker loss, and just got worse and worse downhill.
That's why you tell them never chase, right?
That's what I tell people. Call it a loss, call it quits, play tomorrow, never chase. You chase, and you're going to be dead.
Yeah, honestly, for me, I think it's within poker, because once you start getting a little better, you feel a lot of confidence. You save up the bankroll and you go take a shot in higher stakes. And then when my first time I took a shot in a high stakes poker game, I went and played in Simon's 25-50 game, and I took my whole bankroll there. And in my head, I had an image of how high stakes poker should be played because I watched all those episodes of high stakes poker. I thought, I can outplay all these, businessmen, these, whales. And if I play it XYZ, then I should win the hand. And I took my whole bankroll and I had lost.
We played bigger than that with Kevin Hart and Jeremiah in California.
Yeah, but at that time I was a lot more seasoned. The first time I played that 25-50 game, I lost my whole bankroll. My head was spinning because those whales, what people don't realize, they don't care, because for them, they have unlimited ammo compared to you. For a kid taking a shot in a high stakes game. So for them, all they need to do is beat you one time, and they take
100%.
everything.
That's why when you play poker or when you gamble anything, you have to have a bankroll to play.
Yeah, bankroll management is huge. And plus, whales, they don't think of poker. When they're playing, they're not really looking at it from like a GTO wizard's perspective. They just see the 2 cards in their hand, and their mind process it as, oh, I have good cards, so I should win this hand. And, they might get it in behind, but all they need to do is hit it once and you're out. So that was definitely my, like, welcome to gambling
But that was in
devastation moment.
poker. How about in the casinos? Any devastating
Oh
moments?
no, I have too many stories in the casino.
Tell us. Let's hear them.
So every year we go to WSOP, okay? And before we go to WSOP, I have all these visions of I'm going to play XYZ tournaments. I make a couple side bets. I win a bracelet because I think I'm better than these guys who play tournaments all year round, okay? Even though I'm not a tournament player, we're going to play some cash games, okay? And then when we land in Vegas, okay, and the hotel sends us the rolls, picks us up, brings us back.
All day,
Once I'm in
every day.
Vegas, it's a whole different atmosphere. It's like a gambler's, like, Disneyland. It's just,
They got every game, right? You think it's the park.
yeah, you think it's an amusement park. They got baccarat, dice, roulette, and it's luxury everywhere. They feed you good food, give you nice rooms, and you're in that moment and you're lost. You're lost in that fantasy land, and that's what I call Vegas, and that's where I lose all like
Respect for money.
All respect for I have no respect for money when I'm in Vegas, which is terrible. Okay. Especially because I start winning in the trip and then so for example, last year I'm up close to $1 million in Vegas. Okay. And I'm betting 50,000 a hand in Bach. and I win. I go to the WSOP tournament. It's a $2,000 buy-in. Okay. I look at the final table money. Ninth place is 50,000. So I look at the final table money, and in poker tournaments, they're tough. You have to sit there all day, grind it out, and it's really top heavy. Not only is it top heavy, but you have to outlast hundreds of and thousands of other players, and it's a long process because you can't. There's no rushing it. So I'm asking myself, hey, do I really want to sit here where even if I somehow make it to the final table, which in itself is already so difficult to do, and I can just go bet one hand at Baccarat, and if I win, I just made final table money. So once you're in that zone, it's bad because when you're winning, you feel invincible when you're gambling. When you're winning, you feel like nothing can stop you. And then you wake up and it's a nightmare. You wake up and you realize you just lost 200,000. Okay. And you know what's worse feeling than being stuck? It's being upstuck. Okay. It's called winner's tilt. Okay. Because one day I was up 800,000. Next day, now I'm only up 600,000. You should be happy you're still up 600,000, but you're telling yourself, why? Why did I give them back 200,000? Let me go chase that 200,000 back. And because you know that you were up 800,000 at one point, you tell yourself, hey, I can win this money again because I did it once. Why can't I do it twice? Okay. And that's where they get you. And so even though the casinos only have, let's say, 2 to 5% edge on you, what they don't tell you is, tilt. The tilt factor is unreal.
And they got more money than you.
Yeah. And they have their bankroll will outlast you every day, all year for the next 100 years.
That's why when you win, you gotta leave.
Yeah, I mean,
it's hard, right?
So why didn't we leave?
Good question. Too degenerate.
Honestly, it's because I wanted to make history. Because we heard of Archie Karras, went to Vegas with $0, turned 0 into 40 million. The guy, you guys can go look up Archie Karras, okay? This man took all the casino's chips. He had in his possession were all of the casino's chips at one point.
The 5K chips.
The 5K chips. And how about this? The casino didn't even have the cash to cash it all out. He borrowed $10,000 from somebody and he turned the 10,000 into 40 million. And you know what he left Vegas with at the end of the day?
0.
And that's why gambling is crazy, because I was going to beat Vegas for $40 million and then leave with $40 million. And so, when you have such an unrealistic goal, and let's say, honestly, my trip, I wanted to win $5 million. Okay. So when you're up, close to $1 million, you're only 20% of the way there, instead of looking at, hey, I'm up $1 million. This can change somebody's life. And that's how the casinos get you. They'll provide you with the VIP service, so that you don't want to leave. And honestly, it's not even the casino. It's just like when you're winning, you really feel like Superman. You're invincible.
Plus all the unlimited comps, eat wherever you want, cars, jets. You're never leaving.
Yeah. And on top of this, as an educated gambler, as a veteran gambler, like you and I, we still make all these deals so that we get some kind of edge back. And even then, it's impossible to beat them.
Yeah, you need sick discipline to try to beat them.
And this gentleman right here, guys, has the most discipline I know.
Yeah, okay.
Because he's seen the wars. There's your ancestors may have been fought in one war, World War I, World War II. This guy has lived through about 5 different wars. So, gambling wars. So, he has a lot of insight. I'm more of the more degenerate of the two. I'm still taking shots. I'm still trying to spin in something into, something crazy. He's got the discipline. He has everything in order. But at the same time, he has kids. I don't. So you have to be a more responsible human.
When you have kids, trust me, you're gonna be responsible. You're not
That-
gonna let them starve.
That's why I don't have kids. I'll take a shot. I don't mind going all in because at the end of the day, if I lose, I'll, find the way to make it back.
Maybe it's time to have kids. You're gonna be responsible.
Maybe not yet. Maybe in a couple years, but not anytime soon. So going forward, we're going to have guests. We're gonna have other gamblers. I think next week we're gonna have Vito on here, and we're just gonna share a lot of stories. There's gonna be a lot of war stories, a lot of gambling stories, a lot of non-gambling stories. And I think the most interesting thing of the whole experience that I have had since I moved to New York was meeting so many different minded people, like from different circles. Because I grew up more on the straight narrow. My parents are super, hardcore Asian parents, and this was just an entirely different world for me. And you meet so many interesting people.
Now you love it, right?
Now it's my life, so you gotta love it. So guys, please follow, subscribe. We're gonna give you guys great content. I know we might be a little rough in the beginning, but we'll get better. Thank you.
All right, guys.